Welcome back, Shop Rats. It's another Talk About It Tuesday, and today we're going to pick up on a subject that was actually I talk about it Tuesday this week, but for you guys it was a few weeks ago. We're going to do part 2 on passing down our collector cars to the next generation. It's an interesting subject, and some comments kind of spurred some other thoughts on that. So, well, before we get into it, take 5 seconds, watch the show intro, and I'll see you right on the other side. I'm Mike.
This is My Cars Shop.
I apologize that I can't remember exactly who it was that made the comment, and I forgot to look this morning before I hit the road. But one of you guys made a comment about not necessarily having anybody to pass your cars down to, but that hoping your family, if they weren't interested, would find somebody who would really appreciate and value the cars and the projects that you have. And I thought that was a great thought. So I wanted to elaborate on that a little bit. I've definitely had this conversation with other people, but I just didn't think about incorporating it into our last Talk About It. And since I'm always looking for Talk About It Tuesday ideas, it was a great idea for today's Talk About It. And I do think it is going to become quite an issue in the future as the numbers of people interested in these kinds of cars diminishes. We can see that at car shows, at least in some parts of the country, where most of the people sitting by or behind a classic or an antique car are, well, they're not exactly spring chickens is what I'm trying to say. I've definitely seen that over the years, that the car show age of people who own the cars is just continuing to increase as all of us get older. And I find that it's very rare that there's a young guy or gal, not never, but rare, that there's a young guy or gal who's there with a collector car or a project car or something special like that. And I think that's kind of telling. Now, I was talking with my buddy John over at Life at Speed, and he said that's not necessarily the case in California. And that was encouraging for me to hear, a little surprising, but I guess it kind of makes sense because I think California in general probably has a pretty strong economy, and maybe toys and things like that are a little bit more easily affordable. I know things are very expensive in California, but I don't know. It's just an opinion. I don't live there. I don't know enough about it, and I probably shouldn't be talking about it, but you know me, I'm going to talk about it anyway, even if I don't know anything about it. We had talked in the last episode on this subject how, looking at things from a financial standpoint and with financial consideration for someone whom we're handing something down to is valid. Can they afford this? If it's a family member, or having that conversation is valuable to say, I've got these 8 cars, and I was thinking about, handing them down to you, or maybe some of them down to you, but I don't want to saddle you with them if it's not something that you're interested in, or even better, or not even better, but even more importantly, if it's not something that you're going to be able to afford, especially if a person doesn't have skills to be able to do things themselves, and they're going to have to take these things somewhere to have them worked on or repaired or even restored if it's a project car. I think that's a very, very valid subject or issue to be aware of. I mean, it just, to me, it's very, to say that, I don't want this car to ever go to anybody outside the family. I'm not sure that's thinking about others as much as just thinking about yourself. So I don't want to say it's selfish. I think it's more that it's just ignorance, not thinking about that aspect of things. So, not saying it has bad motives or anything like that, just something that people don't necessarily think about. We spend our time, our blood, our sweat, our tears, our money on these projects because it's a passion. And remember that it's not that way for somebody else, and so they may not want to spend their time and blood, sweat, tears, and cash on something like that. I mean, there's a lot of people that think old cars are cool, but that doesn't mean they necessarily want to own one. So then who? I don't think it would be wrong to for yourself to talk to other people if you're not thinking of selling them and wanting someone to end up with them who has the passion, who has the desire, who has the vision and has the resources. I don't think it's beyond question to have a conversation with that person, even if they're not family, and say, hey, when I'm dead and gone, I was wondering if you might be interested in this car or that car or these cars, because I think you have the passion and the desire and the resources to be able to deal with this stuff, but I wanted to have a conversation with you before I handed them off to you or had my family hand them off to you, just in case that wouldn't be something that you desire. And I think it's a realistic conversation, because I think at first the person might have stars in their eyes and not have thought about the bigger picture implications of what exactly that means. And well, it's like having a child. It's a dependent, right? It's going to cost you something all of your life, and all of their life, I should say. Asking them if they're interested, and then sitting down and having that conversation about, okay, I know you have the skills, let's say, and I know you have the passion to do it, but do you realize how much each one of these cars costs? The insurance that you probably should have on it, and the upkeep and the maintenance and the repair and the rear tires, because you're always doing burnouts or whatever. It's a thing. I mean, if I look at my 68 Pro Street Dart GTS, the cost of racing fuel in the last years has almost made that car unaffordable for me to drive. I don't drive it a whole lot anymore, because the last time I bought racing fuel, I think it was $12 a gallon. And when you get 6 miles to the gallon, when your foot isn't in the kitchen, and I don't even want to know what it's getting when both of those 4 barrels are wide open and you got the nitrous pumped out at 200 horse, I don't even want to think about it, right? Because it's expensive. It's a lot of fun and it's worth every penny, but I definitely spread my fun out a lot more than I used to, and I don't even want to talk about the cost of rear tires. Now, for me personally, that's not it. I've talked with my kids a little bit. I'm going to have more. I've talked with my son a lot. I'm going to talk with my daughter more about it. And if they don't want a vehicle or whatever, one of them that I intend to hang on to, then at some point in my life, if I live long enough, I'll just sell off the ones that they're not interested in. And they can have that inheritance in cash or whatever else I choose to invest it in. But, at the end of the day, not everybody's in that circumstance. Not everybody has kids. Not everybody has kids that are interested or has a family member that's interested. So I think this is a valid topic to keep in mind. Who could you possibly hand them off to if you're not in a position that you want or need to sell them? If you plan to keep them until your dying day, can you make your wishes known to the direction you want it to go? And can you make have you had that conversation with that person or those people ahead of time, so you know that they are definitely going to be grateful recipients of those vehicles or that vehicle? Let's be real, it doesn't take long for something that you own to become something that owns you. That's just the reality of it. And that's life, right? I mean, we all have these experiences, but a lot of times I don't think we have enough forethought to what's going to happen and when we're gone, and what are things going to look like when we're gone. Making things easier for our loved ones to deal with our stuff, I think, is a very loving thing to do. So have those conversations with your family and your friends, or somebody that you know who, I've known that guy over there. He's young, he's 20 years old, he's really into cars, he's got a good job, he's got some skills, I see potential. Maybe I'll just bless him with that 68 Roadrunner. We'll see what he thinks about it. So that's my thoughts today. I thought it was a good subject to talk about. I appreciate you being here as always, and we will catch you on the next one. Drop your comments down there. Drop your thoughts. If we have more to talk about on this subject, we're going to circle right back around to it once again. All right, that'll do it. Bye.